When my dad married Melanie, I didn't think much of it. She was too young for him, too glamorous, too perfect in that calculated Instagram filter way, but I chalked it up to his midlife crisis and hoped for the best. She moved in, took over the house like a storm, dressed in silk, and suddenly everything from the throw pillows to the kitchen spices screamed her. I kept my distance mostly because something about her made my skin tingle, not in fear, but in that dangerous, electric way you're not supposed to feel around your father's wife. She smiled too long, laughed too low, and the way her eyes lingered made me uncomfortable, or maybe just confused. At first, it was subtle, accidental touches in the hallway, compliments that walked the line between flattering and suggestive, but it didn't stop there. One night, I came home late, sweaty from basketball practice, and found her in the kitchen wearing nothing but a robe, sipping wine like she'd been waiting for me. "Rough game?" she asked, voice low, eyes locked on mine. I mumbled something, and tried to pass her, but she stepped in close, too close, brushing her fingers across my jaw, letting them linger just a second too long before backing off with a smile that said everything and nothing. I told myself I imagined it, but over the next few weeks, she tested every limit. One evening I was in the shower and the door opened just a crack and her voice floated in, playful, teasing. "Oops, wrong room." She didn't leave right away, just let the silence stretch. Then, one stormy night when my dad was out of town for a business trip, it all escalated. She knocked on my bedroom door wearing one of his shirts and nothing underneath, asking if I could help her open a bottle of wine because the cork was stuck. I shouldn't have followed her, but I did. In the kitchen, she didn't even try to hide it anymore, pressing against me, breathing my name like it was a confession. I froze, heart pounding. I backed away and told her no, told her this was insane, that she was my dad's wife. She laughed slow, dark, disappointed, and whispered, "He'll never know unless you tell him." After that night, I avoided her like she was fire, because she was, but she didn't stop. She started texting me pictures, flirty messages, late-night confessions. I saved everything, not because I wanted to, but because I knew I might need proof. I felt like I was losing my mind, like no one would ever believe me if it came to that. And then, it happened. My dad found one of her texts by accident. She had sent me something obscene, and I guess she forgot to delete the notification from her own synced tablet. He confronted me first, angry, betrayed, until I showed him everything, every message, every photo, every moment she crossed the line. He went silent, white. I'd never seen him that still before. The divorce was messy. Melanie tried to spin. It accused me of seducing her, said I manipulated her, even claimed she had feelings for me and that my dad never understood her. But my dad didn't buy it anymore. He knew what she was. The worst part, I almost believed her, too. Because a part of me, buried deep and ashamed, remembered how she made me feel wanted, powerful, seen. But that wasn't love. That was control. She didn't want me, she wanted to ruin something pure between me and my father, to inject herself into our lives like a virus. She left, but not quietly. She sent letters, posted lies online, tried to destroy what was left of our family. But we cut her out, both of us, blocked her, erased her, moved on, or tried to, because sometimes, when I walk into a room and smell that same perfume, or hear someone laugh the way she did, I freeze, not because I miss her, but because I remember how close I came to crossing a line I could never uncross, and that memory, that's the scar she left behind. Months passed, and we thought it was over. My dad and I slowly rebuilt trust, speaking more honestly than we ever had before. I started therapy. He stopped drinking. We both agreed never to speak her name again. But silence doesn't mean safety. It only gives the storm time to gather. It started with little things. Emails from unknown senders, fake social media, profiles with pictures of me from high school, old ones I hadn't posted anywhere in years. Then someone started calling my dad's work, leaving vague messages about family secrets. We brushed it off as spam. Until one morning, I got a plain envelope in the mailbox. No stamp. Inside was a single pregnancy test positive, and a sticky note. "Congratulations, Daddy." My stomach flipped. I knew she was lying. I hadn't touched her, but she knew exactly how to strike, and where it would hurt the most. I rushed to show my dad, expecting him to fall apart, but he didn't. He stared at the test like it was a landmine, and then, quietly, he said, "She told me she was pregnant when we met, said she lost the baby." That's when it hit us both. She had used that story before. She was recycling her lies, and this time, I was her new target. My dad called his lawyer. We filed a no-contact order, but Melanie wasn't interested in the law. She was interested in chaos. One night I came home to find the front door slightly open. Nothing was stolen, but my bedroom, someone had gone through every drawer. On the bed was a photo album, my childhood pictures, only this time her face had been glued over my mum's in every single one, and written across the last page in red lipstick were the words, "I was always supposed to be her." My dad packed a bag that night and we left, no plan, just gone. A motel, then a rental across town under fake names, but it wasn't enough. The next attack wasn't physical, it was social. She posted screenshots online, fake messages that looked like I had confessed to sleeping with her. She tagged me, my college, my job, my ex. Within hours, my life began to unravel. Friends stopped replying. HR called me into a meeting. My dad wanted to fight it all publicly, but I told him no. This wasn't a war we could win with logic or truth. She was unhinged, yes, but smart, manipulative, charismatic when she needed to be. So I did the only thing I knew would get her attention. I messaged her from a burner account and said, "You win. Let's talk, alone." She replied instantly, told me where to meet her. It was an old hotel room, the kind with flickering neon and stained carpets. I wore a wire. My dad waited 2 blocks away with a private investigator. She opened the door like she'd been waiting forever, hair perfect, smile sharp, eyes lit with something unholy. "I knew you'd come," she whispered. "You always wanted me." And that's when I told her I recorded everything, every lie, every threat, every disgusting fantasy she tried to pin on me. She didn't scream, she didn't cry, she just smiled wider, leaned in close, and whispered, "This isn't over. I don't lose, not even to you." Then she turned herself in, but that wasn't mercy, that was strategy. The trial begins next month. She pleaded not guilty, claims I seduced her, destroyed her life, left her pregnant and abandoned, but I have the wire, the evidence, and maybe, just maybe, enough strength to finally bury this madness for good. Still, every time I close my eyes, I hear her voice behind me. "You always wanted me," and I wonder if I'll ever feel clean again. The trial dragged on for months, each session peeling back more layers of the nightmare she had built around me like a trap made of whispers and shadows. Her lawyer painted me as a troubled young man with Electra-complex fantasies, saying I'd seduced my father's wife out of jealousy, out of rage toward my mother's death, out of some deep Freudian sickness. But when the jury heard the recording, the wiretap from the hotel, the chilling way she spoke about us, the twisted things she whispered like poison, they finally saw her for what she really was. A predator dressed in silk, a puppeteer who mistook obsession for love. She was convicted. 6 years for harassment, stalking, slander, and falsifying evidence. That should have been the end. But justice doesn't erase trauma. After the sentencing, my dad hugged me in the hallway, eyes red, voice shaking as he whispered, "So sorry I let her into our lives." I wanted to say it wasn't his fault, but maybe it was. Maybe we both ignored the signs because we wanted to believe she could save something in us. Weeks passed, then a letter arrived. No return address, just my name, in her handwriting. Inside was a single photo, an ultrasound, and on the back, in that same red lipstick she always wore, the words, "Our legacy doesn't die in court." My stomach turned. I showed it to the cops. They ran DNA tests. The pregnancy had been Realgist, not mine. She had been sleeping with someone else the entire time, maybe multiple people, maybe even someone from my school, maybe someone who never knew they were part of her plan, but the damage was done. She was moved to a psychiatric facility after an incident in prison, tried to claw her own face off, claimed I visited her every night, begged her to come back, said I was the father of her child, and that we'd all live together like a perfect family. They diagnosed her with narcissistic personality disorder and a possible psychotic break. I never visited. I changed my name, changed states, rebuilt what I could. But every so often, I wake up at 3 a.m. and check the locks. I don't even remember. Dreaming I just wake up with the feeling that she's still watching me. And maybe that's the real horror of it all. That even after courtrooms and sentences and truth finally shining through, some ghosts don't die. They just live in the corners of your memory, wearing your father's wife's perfume, whispering promises you never asked to hear. I won, yes, but what I lost, no one can give back. And what I learned is that some women don't want love, they want ruin. And if you let them close enough, they'll wear your reflection like a mask, until even you can't tell who's who anymore.